Welcome inside episode 535 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains on a game day for the Ottawa Senators. The real question is, who's going to get a hat trick tonight against the Detroit Red Wings?
Well, Ross, it could be anyone on the Ottawa Senators, but the Belleville Senators could have used a hat trick or two in last night's loss, 5-1 loss to Laval, and they are now outside looking in the North Division playoff picture.
Plenty of storylines to get into, both in the American Hockey League and at the NHL level, where Alex Formenton plays game number 100, and Drake Batherson is probably back. All that plus Craig Button has released his top 50 NHL affiliated prospects, and there are two Senators. One is very, very high. All that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Tuesday, April 12th. Pills, you know how much we love getting mad at lists, but I'm having trouble really getting mad at Craig Button for this one. He's got Jake Sanderson ranked as the second best prospect outside the National Hockey League.
And Ross, wouldn't you look at that? Detroit's top prospect, Edvinsson, looks like he's one spot behind Jake Sanderson on this list. So just another notch in the belt, proving that Ottawa is ahead in their rebuild.
Yes, certainly. Number one goes to Owen Power, the big defenseman from the University of Michigan. Hard to compare when it's a first overall pick, right? They get that little extra shine to them. However, if you're looking at NCAA and their governing body, they had Jake Sanderson on the first All-Star team this year, and they had Owen Power on the second on a more stacked team. So that's got to make you think.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to consider. And Jake Sanderson, not the only Sens prospect on this list.
Yeah, so we got Ridley Gregg on there as well. The two buddies, of course, their dads, if you don't know this story, fantastic.
Yeah,
their dads
so
were
good.
both drafted by the Hartford Whalers in the exact same year. I believe it was 1980, because it was exactly 30 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1990. No.
I think it was 90.
9, it has to be. 1980, that's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
No, so they were drafted the same. One was a first-round pick. One was a second-round pick. Mark Gregg is Ridley's dad. Of course, everyone knows Jeff Sanderson, Jake's dad. So for them to both be on this list together is pretty sweet. There's a couple names, if we want to nitpick, that I would say, like, wait, Zach Bolduc's a better prospect than Ridley Gregg, huh? But for the most part, it's a lot of top 15 picks over the last two drafts. And crazy to think that because of so many graduations from the 2020 draft, like, only Jake Sanderson and Jack Quinn are in the top 10 here. Alexander Holtz as well, but he's ranked 15th on this list. But a lot of those guys have already graduated.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And now it's Jake Sanderson's time, and we're hoping we can see him in an NHL game this season. It's going to be close. I think the target date is the 26th, the game after our big game in Ottawa. But if we can get to see him in an NHL uniform, even for a couple games, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so Button says the separator for him was that every single area of the game is where Owen Power excels. I bet you if Jake Sanderson was 6'6" and Owen Power was 6'1", you might have a flip-flop there. But you know what? We are, we're really getting to the minute details.
It's a first overall pick. Like you'll give your nod to him getting that one. We're okay with it.
Fair. Even though, fun fact, he's only 4 months older than Jake Sanderson, who was one of the younger kids from his draft year, and Power was one of the older from his own. But still, a great feather in the cap of Jake Sanderson like he needs it. This guy's trophy case is already packed, and he hasn't even stepped foot onto an NHL game ice surface yet, although he has been skating wearing the red, white, and black, which is great to see. I don't have that photo pulled up. I was going to get it real quick. If you're following along on YouTube, which you can always do, Locked On Senators on YouTube hit a nice little milestone. The road to 2,000 continues, and you can also subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to us in the car, at work, at home, wherever. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So as we said, Jake Sanderson, number 2 on Craig Button's list. Ridley Gregg at number 18. One spot behind Marco Rossi, who was another top 10 pick from that 2020 draft. So talk about making the most of his opportunity. Ridley with 63 points in 39 games. Hasn't played in the last 3.5 weeks, though, because of an upper body injury. He's been in Ottawa rehabbing that. You wonder, with playoffs around the corner, are they just holding him out for precautionary reasons?
That's my guess, Ross.
Try to get him there. We've got another WHL note. We'll save that for later, though. But a Senators prospect has been exploding offensively. We'll get to all that, though. But Pilsy, let's get Belleville out of the way, because that was a sad night, man. That felt like a must-win game. And because of it, I know I teased an interview in the postcast. If the Belleville Sens had won 5-1 last night instead of lost, there would be an interview in today's show. But we understand that right now, emotions are at an all-time high. Yeah. They have to make playoffs. I understand it. I shouldn't have teased it, but we are going to make up for that. We will get that player on. I've just learned so it's a fine line, Pilsy, because a lot of like bigger podcasts that do like once a week or whatever, they'll record the interview and then have days where they can tease it afterwards. When we record an interview, we try to drop it like an hour later.
You can't hold on to interviews very long. No. We saw that with the Thomas Chabot as he congratulates us on our 500th episode on episode 491, because Ross it was too hot to hold on his laptop any longer.
Well, it did work out, though, because we had that nice little montage at the start of our 500th where we still pulled that out, right? So that worked out well. But we will get that certain player, and if you don't know who we're talking about, sorry for wasting about a minute here, and also start listening to the postcast after each and every Ottawa Senators game. You can do that tonight. Note the start time, 7:30 Eastern start. I know on weekdays some people get a little upset with that extra half hour, not pointing any fingers. Not pointing any fingers at Ian Mendez, but I don't think Ian Mendez likes 7:30 start times.
Well, that's tough, Ian. That's all I'm gonna say. I like the extra half hour. Gives you a little more time after dinner. You can make sure all the beers are cold. You can get nice and settled, get your snacks ready. So I'm down with it.
Well, for me, being in Central Time, it's great. 6 o'clock almost feels just like a smidge too early.
That's fair. Yeah, 6 o'clock is just too early.
Yeah, 6:30, fantastic though. With the beers being cold, I just got to put them out on the back porch. I don't know.
God's refrigerator in Winnipeg, eh?
Yeah, for now, man. We got some great temperature recently. It was up to like 12 degrees the other day, and we got a big storm coming by. But hey, that's a perfect time.
Thanks, Frankie McDonald, for the heads up, eh?
Yeah, guest on this show, Frankie McDonald. Talk about backing into the Belleville game, which I feel like people will appreciate us doing. They scored first, Pilsy. This was the New York Rangers Ottawa Senators game from Saturday.
Oh, yeah, I hate that you're dead on with that, because that's pretty much how it goes. 5 unanswered goals by the Laval Rocket, Ross, and this just, no wonder we don't have an opportunity to speak to a Belleville player today, because this just simply isn't good enough. And if I'm Troy Mann, I'm laying into these guys. Yeah, no media, because Ross, just like the game up against Rochester, I talked about how important the power play was. Very similar story here. Laval goes 1 for 2. So you may think, whatever. 1 for 2, that's not bad. That's 50% success rate, though. And then Belleville, 0 for 6. 6 power play opportunities, and you get a big donut on that. Like, that's just not going to cut it. And Belleville only with 21 shots. And you, at first glance, you probably look at this game and say, tough night for Michael McNiven. No, this was Philip Gustafson. So not
empty netter, though.
Empty netter, yeah, sure. But still, 24 saves on 28 shots. That doesn't do you many favors in the stats column there. And nobody really stood out for me. I didn't watch this game, but just looking at the box score here, Ross, the only notable kind of standout is Victor Lodin did have 3 shots. So it's good to see him kind of warming up and getting acclimated there in Belleville. But I mean, talk about coming to a team in North America and you lose 6-2 and 5-1 your first couple games. That's not a great feeling. So the Belleville Senators, they got to figure their shit out, because time is running out here. Like, this isn't your standard season where you're like, we have games in hand, we can make it up. No, this is points percentage. And when you play, math guy here, when you play less games, each game counts for more of a percentage chunk, right? So each game that they're not winning, or at least getting points, especially in the division, is absolutely detrimental to them trying to make the playoffs here.
Well, as you can see on our YouTube page, we're doing our daily AHL standings update, because we've been craving a road to the playoffs since we joined Locked On Senators. We thought that we had that in 2020, finishing first place, and then the season was yanked out from underneath. If the music stopped today, though, Belleville would be without a spot in the playoffs. A 547 points percentage, just behind Aaron Dell
Ugh.
and the Rochester Americans. That is simply unacceptable. Belleville continues their busy schedule right now, though. They're back in action on Wednesday against the Rockford. No, who are they playing? It's Hartford Wolfpack.
You got the Ford in there.
I know. I knew. I saw the FD there. So there's 8 games left. This game against Rockford. Sorry, why did I say Hartford? Hartford. Man, my power plays 0 for 6 right now too.
Yeah,
vocally. But with that game against Hartford coming up on Wednesday night, that will be their last out of division opponent. So they're going to be 7 for 7 in the division with 3 games against the Toronto Marlies, who seem like they're in a decent spot here at number 4. But if Belleville can win all 3 games there, this can turn on its head in an absolute hurry. So stay tuned for all that. This is going to be a wild ride to the finish. But as it stands now, Billsy, the Belleville can't afford any more losses. Like, they have to control their own destiny. You don't want to rely on other teams helping other teams. And just like Belleville playing all these interdivision games, so is everyone else. Like, Laval plays Rochester on Wednesday night, right? So, like, somebody's going to get 2 points. At this point, we're cheering for Laval, right? Like, you can't have Rochester getting any more points. Whoever we wake up to that morning being closest to Belleville, they have to lose games because teams are going to make it, right? It's not like you're fighting against all these teams and only one makes it. Yep. Whoever's closest is the one we want out. And it's Rochester because you get that extra little hatred there, hoping to keep Aaron Dell out of the playoffs. So that would be the perfect revenge dish. Speaking of Aaron Dell, which we don't want to do anymore on this show, Drake Batherson back from his illness. And we'll discuss how he impacts the lineup and how he could help Alex Formenton, who's playing in his 100th National Hockey League game, plus a full preview of the Detroit Red Wings and Ottawa Senators, 7:30 Eastern start from Motown. All that coming up after Pilsy has a word from one of our favorite sponsors.
Yeah, this is a new sponsor, Ross, and last time we had this sponsor on, you guys got to see me testing out the product firsthand. It's Shady Rays. Guys, I'm blown away by Shady Rays, and I don't say that lightly. This is off script, like legit. Before they were a sponsor, similar to a couple of our sponsors, I was interested in their products, and I didn't quite believe their returns on broken and lost sunglasses, and you might not believe it either, so check it out for yourself. But getting ahead of myself here. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means Polaroid lenses, well-constructed, durable frames, that's key for your sunglasses, and premium high-end finishes. That's what you love to see. Also, something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' insane protection program. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. Every time I buy a pair of sunglasses, I'm like, I'm going to sit on them or lose them, so I don't want to spend the money. Don't worry about that with Shady Rays. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. That seems crazy. No matter what happened, you get a brand new pair. That's what I love to see. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. So they're helping out the community as well. Exclusively for our listeners, just for you guys, head to shadyrays.com and use code LOCKEDON to get 50% off. That's 50 off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code LOCKEDON for their best deal of the season. 50% off. Get them ready for sunshine, Ross. Winnipeg weather is cold right now, but it's going to be sunny soon. So get your Shady Rays, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. Check it out today, guys. Shady Rays.
All right, Pilsy. So, game day for the Ottawa Senators. We're going to save that full preview. I do want to get into how Drake Batherson affects this forward core, and we saw the offense just disappear without him in the lineup against Nashville and the New York Rangers. But we also have some stick taps to give out to Zack Austinchuck, potentially the best weekend of his career. This guy was absolutely on fire.
Yeah, he's playing like an offensive giant over in Vancouver with the Giants. Hey. And yeah, how about, his last 3 games? How about a goal, a hattie, and then a goal and an assist? Quick math, that's 6 points in his last 3 games. That's pretty damn impressive. And keep the streak of Senators players getting hat tricks going as Austinchuck gets 3 there. And if we're looking at the playoff picture, the Vancouver Giants are way behind the Kelowna Rockets, which is the team ahead of them in the standings. But they're slated to make the playoffs here. Probably a quick first-round exit, but to get playoff experience for Zack Austinchuck will be a good thing. And he's looking great recently. Just to rattle off his season stats here. 24 goals, 17 assists for 41 points in 57 games. So a massive boost on his previous seasons in the WHL. And Sens fans, that's a pick that maybe at first you're like, Zack Austinchuck, who is this guy? Look at his stats, you're not impressed. Well, he's coming into his own now, and he's looking like a damn good prospect.
And the thing is with Austinchuck, too, he finished off as most improved player last year. But it seems like once he gets the ball rolling on his season now, he's unstoppable. He's got 10 points in his last 10 games, and 7 of them are goals. And I think he impressed Sens fans. He's impressed management enough to give him a contract after rookie camp. So look good in those games. A fast centerman with great hands. It just seems like maybe the vision, and you're trying to work on the shot a little bit. But goalies, I'm sure in the WHL will tell you he's done just that now. As again, 7 goals in his last 10 games. He's on a 3-game goal streak, 3-game point streak, 6 points in his last 3 games there on a team that literally sold everyone at the deadline. I believe they sold Fabian Lysell, doesn't play with them anymore. 50 games, or is he just hurt right now? Anyways, Lysell, who leads the team by 16 points, he hasn't been helping him out recently. And this is a team that only had 1 win in their last 10 games. No, he is just injured right now. So with Austinchuck, you're just looking at a guy who's just getting a bit better. There's a lot of cold minuses, and flawed stat. We always have to preface it. But when you're -1 on a team where half the guys are -20, I think that's probably, get this, there's no plus players on the team, Pilsy. None. No plus players, except for Fabian Lysell's +15.
Wow. God.
That's where plus minus, where you're just like, wait, nobody except this guy, and he's that much higher than everyone else?
Yeah, that's crazy. Whew.
Yeah, we knew he was a talented kid going into that last draft. But anyways, great stick taps, well worth it for Zack Austinchuck. We're excited to see what the future holds for him. I think another year in the WHL is in all likelihood in the cards. But nice to see him doing well. For sure, and WHL playoffs are coming soon. There's only, I believe, 3 games left in their season. So we'll let you know when we know the matchups, because there's 3 guys, right? We haven't even mentioned Lats, the Prince Albert Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
I'm selfishly, and maybe this isn't that smart, is I'm kind of hoping they play Winnipeg in the first round. I'd love to get out and see a game, but also whoever plays Winnipeg is out in as many games as is needed, because holy wagon, they are quite a team right now. First place and first in the Canadian rankings. I wonder if one of those 2 big guys ends up being a Senator in the draft. They've got Matthew Savoy and Connor Geekie. Draft profiles will wait until the end of the season, but Pilsy, the draft lottery time is now. Do you want to give a quick spin? I know people are enjoying the futility of Sens playoff hopes, and I mean, that's the one thing we have to look forward to, is the draft coming up on July 10th in Montreal, Quebec. So if you want to give it one spin here, then we'll get to previewing the Ottawa Senators game. And as you pull that up, I'll pull out today's Tank Watch, where we'll discuss which teams we are cheering for tonight. So Pills, you want to give that a spin?
All right, here we go. Ooh, I actually like this a lot. So Seattle gets first overall. Whatever.
Cool.
Totally different side of the continent. Who cares? And Ottawa gets second overall. The Yotes get third, and then it goes down the list there. Ross, that's perfect for us. We were talking about the POSTCAST. Sounds dumb, but we don't want the Sens to have first overall. Let the other team make their choice, and then the Sens can fall into place. So that way it doesn't seem egregious when they pick the 33rd ranked overall prospect at first overall, which of course they will do. So second overall, that's all right with me.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I just pulled up on our YouTube page. This is the Tank Watch. Hashtag Tank Watch on Twitter at SensCentral for Tuesday, April 12th. I would need to look in the camera for this. The NHL, are you kidding me? Last night, 1 game. Tonight, 14 games. They couldn't have, just mixed it up a little bit.
Ross, I won't have that slander towards the schedule makers because they dealt with an absolute frigging gong show of a season. So on behalf of the schedule makers, I won't let that happen because that is so unfair to them to be like, how could you do this when they had to literally jig everything? And it was the fact that all teams are going to play 82 games this season, or all teams are. That's an absolute.
As if you had to think about that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if they were going to pull it off.
If not every team played 82 games, we're not crediting the schedule makers.
Yeah, well, you can always just do what they did last year. Just have Calgary and Vancouver playing games, regular season games in the postseason. But they've had their work cut out for them, so I'm going to give them a pass on that one.
That is so funny. All right, here's the rooting guide for tonight for Tank Watch. We're cheering for the Sabres over the Maple Leafs, the Flyers over the Capitals. I'm going to abstain because we are still cheering for the Senators, but if the Red Wings win, for Tank Watch purposes, it would be better. We're cheering for the Blackhawks over the Kings, the Kraken over the Flames, and then we're cheering for the Coyotes because if two teams that are in Tank Watch are close together, we're always cheering. No, we aren't. We're cheering for the Devils because they're below Ottawa. We're cheering for the Devils. The Coyotes are done.
Like they're firmly on the bottom there.
Yeah, stick a fork in them, cook them medium rare, and serve it up on a plate. So that's Tank Watch. Pillsy, we've got another quick word here, and then we also have another giveaway to announce and a full preview of tonight's Ottawa Senators versus the Detroit Red Wings game in Detroit. I always want to say at Joe Louis Arena. It's just so iconic, but of course, it's got
Little
good
Caesars.
And gone. Little Caesars. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for a good gamble. And I just tweeted out, I'll tell you what my play is. I've got a science experiment going at betonline.net. Science, because baseball season is here and the Blue Jays are a complete wagon. So I'm going to betonline.net and I'm putting 5 for the month of April. And I'm going to keep track of what I win and lose. And I'm going to see from there. I'm putting 5 units on the Jays money line every game. And I'm expecting it to be like minus 180, minus 190. 5 units on the Jays money line, 2 units on Jays minus 1.5, and 1 unit on Jays minus 2.5. Every single game in April, and I'm going to see if I can continue that trend. That's the fun that you can have at betonline.net. It's the place where you go for the latest odds, totals, and player performance props. If you don't think I'm sprinkling a little on Vladdy home runs in there too, you're out of your mind. BetOnline is the best spot for all your wagering, your sports scores, your podcasts, and news this season. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. It's BetOnline, where the game starts.
Nice, Ross. And if you want to make your way to one of those games, I've done the drive from Toronto to Winnipeg recently. You could drive from Winnipeg to Toronto to catch a Jays game, but that is a bit of a haul, so you're going to want to make sure your Honda Civic is all ready to go, and you can do that by checking out rockauto.com. It's the website that is making it easy to get your car parts, easier than going to your local store because they're going to have shipping issues. The guy's going to ask you a million questions, and it's just going to end up wasting your time. Why waste your time when you have a phone in your pocket and you can go to rockauto.com yourself? Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. They've got everything you need. Brake parts, tail lamps, of course, motor oil, why not, and even a new carpet to make your ride looking fresh and clean. So go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution for all your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right? Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Once more, guys, go to rockauto.com. Check out all the parts available for your car or truck. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all of the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
All right, Pillsy. So it is a game day for the Ottawa Senators playing the Detroit Red Wings. And because they're playing Detroit, we thought what better time than to give away a Bobby Ryan autographed card. Of course, Senators legend. Yes, when you perform the way he did in the 2017 playoffs, you are a Senators legend. And, well, he finished his career in Detroit last season. So a nice little tie-in to both teams. So
Is he officially retired?
I don't know. Maybe we're announcing it on this show. He tried to make a comeback for the Spengler Cup. I think there were some COVID situations. He wanted to get a push for the Olympic team, right? Unfortunate because he has represented the USA at an Olympics before in Vancouver. That was before Brian Burke famously said he couldn't spell intensity when being left off the 2014 team. Well, I think he shoved that right in Brian Burke's face the way he played in the 2017 playoffs 3 years after that. So BFR, an absolute beauty. Bobby Ryan. We talked about broken sticks when Igor scored on that shootout. One of my favorite Bobby Ryan moments. This one's definitely on YouTube. I believe it's against the LA Kings. It was a home game, and he takes a shot, stick snaps in half, but he still scores, and he puts each hand up with half a stick in both hands. And Bobby also famously scored with an opponent's stick. Remember?
Yes, that's what I thought you were going to. He has two stick moments. Yeah, wasn't it Mikko Koivu's stick against the Wild? And after, he's like, I scored with your stick. Like, that was an all-time weird moment.
Yeah, talk about getting one over your opponent there. That's awesome. So this is a Twitter exclusive giveaway. We're going to give that away in the postcast. So check out the postcast tonight after the Senators and Red Wings play. And what I'm calling right now will be a high-scoring game. Just make sure you're following the right accounts. Of course, we want to say thank you to @Fighting Stutzla, who is going to be providing these cards for everyone. So he's picking the winners. So maybe go follow his Twitch as well, or subscribe. I'm not sure how Twitch works, but he would really appreciate that as well. Make sure you're following the accounts, retweet it, and you're subscribed to Locked On Senators on YouTube. All right, Pillsy, administrative stuff out of the way. It's a Senators game day. Let's pull up the Sens lines because, man, does it ever look so much better when Drake Batherson is in the mix. So the projected lines, and DJ Smith did say that Batherson is a game-time decision, but he was in his typical spot at the morning skate. These were the lines at that skate. Josh Norris between Brady Tkachuk and Mathieu Joseph. Second line, Tim Stutzla between Alex Formenton and Drake Batherson. The third line is Colin White between Parker Kelly and Connor Brown. And the fourth line is Gambrell between Gaudette and Watson. So Kastelik is back to the minors. Tierney is back on the sidelines. On defense, Branstrom, Zub. Delzato back with Hamonic. And then Holden with Nikita Zaitsev. Anton Forsberg is your starting goalie tonight.
First notables is I love that MDZ is back for replacing Mete. We weren't too stoked about Mete getting time over him, and it didn't exactly work out for him. So that's a good little boost.
Yeah, it certainly is. We were probably a little harsh on Mete with his performance against the Jets on yesterday's show, but I just think Delzato's kind of earned a spot down the stretch here. Like, meaningless games. So what if he has a half?
I almost feel like they should send Delhi back down to Belleville for that final push.
Dude. You got to think of the player, man. No, I know it. I know what you're thinking, but I don't know, man.
They were so good with him, but I could see Delhi being like, no, I'm not going back to Belleville.
No chance. But out of these guys on tonight's lineup, who are you locked on?
I'm going to be locked on to a guy who scored a hattie in a game up against the Red Wings, and it's Mathieu Joseph. I mean, he had 7 points in 2 games up against the Red Wings the last time they played. So he's on the top line again. Sure, Batherson's here, so he might get bumped off the top power play unit, but anytime you're playing with Tkachuk and Norris, you're in a good position to succeed. And anytime you're playing up against the Red Wings and Thomas Greiss, even better chance to succeed. So I'll be shocked if Joseph doesn't have some fireworks again tonight.
Absolutely love that. For me, it's Erik Branstrom, a guy whose offense is starting to come around, and that's what you like to see. So I'm going to have my eye on Erik Branstrom tonight. He's got, 4 assists in his last
5 games?
No, in his last 6. 4 assists in his last 6 games, averaging almost 21 minutes per game, played 24 minutes against Winnipeg in the loss. Obviously, they were chasing the game a little bit too. That's the 5th most ice time he's had in a single game this season. Hell, 3 of his last 6 games are in the top 12 of ice time this year. So I think that maybe that doesn't happen tonight, especially if Detroit's defending and goaltending is as bad as we kind of expect it to be. You might be able to, roll all 3 pairs a little bit better throughout the game. But I need to see a strong finish to the season for Eric Branstrom. So
let's see a goal. How about that, Ross? 71 shots, 0 goals. Like, one of these got to sneak through for him.
Yeah, I mean, how long is the drought right now? You said how many games this season?
He has 71 shots. I think he's at like 43 games this season or something like that. So
that would be 65 game goalless drought. And you know what the irony is, Pilsy? He scored 2 goals last year. They came in back-to-back games.
And one of them was from the neutral zone.
Correct.
Yeah. So, like, that's the thing. Like, we can't really keep making excuses for Brandy. He's on the top pair with Zub. He's on the top power play with a great unit in front of him. He's got some power play assists, which is good, but you can't go this entire season without a single goal. There's just can't happen.
No, Bill McCult level of futility, but at the same time, defenseman, but an offensive one at that. So we're hoping to see some offense from Eric Branstrom tonight. And of course, we're all going to be locked on to Drake Batherson. And I want to get into, before we talk about the Detroit Red Wings, how he fits in here on the second line with Alex Formenton and Tim Stutzla. Of course, Mathieu Joseph is making it impossible to move that top line right now, playing with Norris and Tkachuk. We expect that Batherson will be in his position on the first power play unit, but what can he not only add on the second line, but how can he help get Formenton going, a guy who only has 1 point in his last 11 games?
Yeah, Formy needs to get going here, and DJ Smith did say Formenton's going to get a look on the second power play unit, so that's going to be very interesting. And I'm surprised it's taken so long, Ross, because when you have a guy with speed like that, like entering the zone when the opposition is a man down should be a breeze for him. I mean, he enters the offensive zone down a man on the PK with ease. So you think he could be able to do it even easier on the power play. So I'm excited for that. But anytime you get the most skilled player in your forward core added to your line with one of the most talented centers, you're going to get a boost here. And I think Batherson as a dual threat option, pass or shoot, is going to open up a lot of ice for Formenton. And he's now, like, no offense to Connor Brown, but Batherson's got a little bit more offensive touch to him. So there's just going to be more opportunities available. And for me, all he needs is an opportunity to get one step on a defenseman and he can create offense. So I think adding Batherson to this line is so crucial. It's just like DJ Smith said, right? Like, now teams are going to have to decide, are we going to put everything we got into shutting down the top line or the second line? Whereas before, it was all we have to do is stop Norris, Tkachuk, and Batherson. Now there's a little extra oomph on that second line.
100%. And if you look at the amount of time that Formenton and Batherson have played together versus apart this year, they've played 46 minutes together and 355 minutes apart at even strength at 5-on-5. And if you look at their expected goals when they're on the ice, so this kind of decreases how goaltending plays into effect if a goalie makes an amazing save or whatnot. When they're on the ice together, the Senators are generating 57% of the expected goals. Formenton without Batherson is at 48, and Batherson without Formenton is at 49. So I found that to be a pretty interesting statistic, and hopefully they can get each other going here. And not only that, but with Timmy down the middle, we know he's on milestone watch. We talked about that on yesterday's show. So I'm excited to see how this top six lines up. And when we look at by the way, game 100 tonight for Alex Formenton, 20 goals in his first 100 games. I think for a guy who brings that element of speed that clearly is unmatched in the NHL, the level of penalty killing tied for the shorthanded goals lead in the National Hockey League this year, I just think that it's a great 100 first games for a second round pick.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Formenton, and keep in mind, he hasn't always exactly been set up for success. Like, how many of those minutes did he spend playing with Dadonov and Tierney and guys that, no offense, they're not going to boost his stock. So now, just like Eric Branstrom, there's no excuses. You're with Tim Stutzla and Drake Batherson. Let's get it done. And you're getting power play time. Let's see it happen.
Okay, so that's a great point to bring up, because I want to ask you who you think Alex Formenton has played the most with in the last 2 seasons.
Chris Tierney.
No, he's played enough with Timmy that now he's up there.
Fair.
Yeah, with Timmy, he's at 394 minutes with. The second most is Connor Brown, but beyond that, it's Chris Tierney, Nick Paul, and Tyler Ennis are his most common line mates. So I mean, take with that what you will, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be interesting. Should we move along to Red Wings lines now?
Yeah, what I was going to say with that was now with 2 solid lines, good luck for this Red Wings decor to keep up with them. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got the full lines up. I'm going to start in goal because Thomas Greiss, my least favorite tendy in the league, least favorite dude in the league, 9-12-1 with a 363 goals against and an 890 save percentage. I am hammering the over in tonight's game at Bet Online. Their offense looks like this. Great top line. You can't take anything away from Dylan Larkin between Tyler Bertuzzi and Lucas Raymond. They've got Pius Suter between Jacob Verana and Philip Zadina getting some top 6 minutes. Are they earned? That I'll leave to you to figure out. Joe Veleno between Oscar Sundqvist and Michael Rasmussen. And the fourth line is Mitchell Stevens between Adam Erne and Sam Gagne. On defense, it's DeKaiser and Cider. It's Mark Stahl with Philip Hronik and Wallman with Lindstrom as well. And Lindstrom, man, that guy, I didn't realize he was as prolific of a hitter as he was. Now, were they both clean? That's a question that I'll let everyone else figure out for themselves. But interesting that he was definitely on the giving end of a few major collisions. He was the guy who knocked Tyler Ennis out for the season.
Yep. Yeah, and he caused some havoc. Sens players were not happy with him, and he's someone to look out for as an antagonizer.
Yes. Well, who is your official lookout player for tonight's game?
My official lookout player is going to be Sam Gagne. And sure, this is a guy who's kind of in the back, on the back nine of his career, that's for sure. And he's getting an opportunity to play some decent minutes with the Red Wings. But he's been hot lately, Ross. A 3-game goal streak where he scored 4 goals in those 3 games, including a shorty up against the Jets. So he's kind of like Detroit's version of Tyler Ennis, right? Like a guy that's winding down his career, but still has a lot of offense juice left in him. And a guy that can help these younger players around on this team around, right? Like look at all these guys are under 30 on their forward list here. So they don't have maybe Sundqvist is a little older, but all these guys are younger. So it's good to have veteran presence in there. And I think he's a big part of this team. He wasn't playing in the last game with Detroit. So we'll see what kind of boost he gives them here.
You talk about veterans. There's some guys who are even more so veterans than him on this list. He is the only active player with an 8-point game in his career. Now, He did it in 2012, so it's not like it's the Sam Gagne you're going to see tonight, but these are the other names on this list. Mario Lemieux, Paul Coffey, Wayne Gretzky twice, Mario twice as well, Brian Trottier, Maurice Richard, Peter Stastny, Anton Stastny. Pretty decent company. Only one player in NHL history has ever had more points in a single game than Sam Gagne.
Darryl Sittler, 10.
Darryl Sittler with 10. 6 goals in the game. I believe he had 2 natural hat tricks in that game, which is just absolutely wild stuff. But yeah, Sam Gagne, a legend, almost taking that Bobby Ryan role for them last year as well. So that's a solid one. I'm going to go with Mo Cider because honestly, great player. Like when I watch him not against the Sens, fantastic. I didn't think he was that great last time these two teams played. I thought he had a couple of giveaways that turned around, but I'm sure that he knows that they've got to be the number one show on German TV going tonight with Tim Stutzla versus Maurice Cider. And yes, he's a hell of a player. He is, in my estimation, the Calder Trophy winner this year. But -3 in one of the games, -2 in another. And yes, no, we already said it this episode. I do not have to again say that plus minus is a flawed stat, but he had a few giveaways and didn't really control any pace offensively, and something to watch for as well. Let's put it as a key to victory. Brady Tkachuk made it his absolute mission to make sure that Mo Cider was uncomfortable every time he had the puck. He hit him. I was even asking, how do we find out? Because I know the NHL tracks this amount of times that you receive a hit in a game. You know how many guys give hits. I really was curious to see because it felt like he was getting hit every single play. And that's what you have to do to really solid defenders. The only problem is not many guys in the league can actually hit Cider and affect him because he's so big and guys bounce off him. Brady Tkachuk's one of the guys that can. So I'm hoping to see more of that for a key to success for the Ottawa Senators, because if you make Cider uncomfortable, the rest of that decor is replacement level at best. So make him uncomfortable and see if you can go from there. I will also give some credit to Larkin. I know that our good buddy, Beer League Champ, he likes stirring the pot, but we're good buddies with him on Twitter. And he took a quote that I said, calling Larkin a bit of a whiner because of that play with the Alex Formenton in front. I was a little tongue in cheek, but you know what? Red Wings fans who got mad, watch the podcast. Happy to have you here as well. I want that rivalry to have a little extra, punch to it. So you know what? If that's what it takes to stir the pot, I'll also say that I would much rather have Chabot and Sanderson than Cider and Edvinsson going forward. So you know what? That'll be my little punchline for today's. But Larkin, hell of a player. He also hit 30 goals after 22-year-old Josh Norris, I might add. Couple of Michigan Wolverine alumni. So there's got to be a little thing there. And also with Josh Norris, he's played one game in his hometown and he's got a hat trick. So can he continue that? What's your key to victory? And we'll finish off by jokingly discussing the question we asked off the top. Which Ottawa Senator is most likely to get a third consecutive hat trick against the Detroit Red Wings? Of course, Mathieu Joseph flipped. It was Josh Norris in Detroit and then Mathieu Joseph in Ottawa last time these two teams played.
So my key to victory is, and Ross, you emphasize this point, but I'll echo it, is get pucks on net on Thomas Greiss. I mean, this guy has really struggled. He did have a good game up against Winnipeg his last game, but before that, Ross, I'm looking at his game log now, and 5 straight losses and not great numbers as well. So, and you mentioned the D-Corps, not exactly at its peak here. So if you can get shots on net and beat those defensemen to those rebounds, those dirty goals, you're going to have an easy time beating this Red Wings team. So any shot is a good shot when Greiss is in net. So let's see all pucks on net.
Any shot is a good shot when Thomas Greiss is in net. I absolutely love that. Perfect way to finish off. Who do you have for hat-trick watch tonight?
Well, I said it last time, and I'm going to stick to it because we've put a lot of minutes talking about him today. But Alex Formenton, like, why not? If Drake Batherson is now on your line, you've been cold a while. You saw your buddies Mathieu Joseph and Josh Norris get hatties last time. It's your turn now, and this would bring, if and when he gets a hat trick, this will bring him to 18 goals, and we need another player to get 20 goals. Like, you can't have, mind you, the Sens might have 2 30-goal scorers, let alone 2 20-goal scorers, but to only have 2 guys in the 82 game season reach the 20-goal plateau, it's simply not good enough. So let's get another guy there, and I think Formenton can be that guy.
You know what? I'm going to stick with how you explained it, but I'm going to give you a different player.
Timmy?
If Tim Stutzla gets a hat trick, he will also be at 18 goals. And not only that, but he'll be ever so close to the 50-point plateau that we want to see from him. Basically, whoever Drake wants to feed a little more tonight will get a hat trick. But you know what? All my Levy lock tonight, Drake Batherson, 2 points if he plays. Multi-point night from Drake Batherson.
The odds aren't going to be great on that.
It'll be like plus 500, I'd say.
Okay.
That's fair.
No, that's good. I don't think it'll be plus 500.
No, maybe not. We'll ask our friends at Bet Online. Maybe get a little boost on that. But it's got to at least be plus 350.
Yeah, it'll be in the pluses. Yeah, that's for sure.
It'll be in the plus.
What happened to your 3-point bet? You don't like that anymore?
I liked it a lot more when it was plus 2400. If
Formenton or Stutzla is getting a hattie, you got to anticipate 3 of those assists are coming from Batherson.
I'm not going to lock it, though.
Okay, fair.
You know what? Sprinkle. Lock a 2-point night. Sprinkle a 3-point night.
The old lock and sprinkle. Love it.
The old lock and sprinkle. Everyone's in lock and sprinkle step together here as the Ottawa Senators go into a game day. Now, to finish off the show, I know people love prospect talk, so we're going to give it to you because not only did Craig Button release his list of top 50 NHL-affiliated prospects, but he gave a list of top 10 prospects for each Canadian team, or he will give tomorrow. So before we're going to beat him to the punch, this is how we have ours. If you're watching on YouTube right now, the SensCentral Top 10 Prospects. These are players with less than 25 NHL games. Now, we were going to ask Craig, friend of the show, we're going to have him on, but I'm going to ask him if he didn't count Shane Pinto, just assuming he's already an NHLer. He's never played in Belleville. And yes, he's injured, but he's an NHLer. So I understand why people would have him omitted from lists. Hell, I think it was Corey Pronman. Somebody had omitted him recently as well. We're not. We're putting 25 games until you're a prospect. We did the same last year with Alex Formenton. He's graduated, but this is how you want to run through these, Pillsy. Run through where we had in lock and then go from, we'll discuss our thought process beyond that.
All right, so if I remember correctly, our locks were Sanderson, Pinto, and Greg, right? That we didn't have any discussions there.
No discussions. And I would even go so far to say Lassie Thompson would be a lock at number 4.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. So Jake Sanderson first, Shane Pinto second, Ridley Gregg third, and Lassie Thompson fourth. Now, where we had some debates, and again, I'll admit, goalie-friendly show, so I am fighting for Philly franchise here. I might have put him above Boucher, but the thing with Gustafsson that people need to appreciate is he hasn't been given a stable season in like 3 years. Like, he's up and down with Belleville. He's even spent some time in the East Coast. Like, the Ottawa Senators injury problems in the crease has really derailed Philip Gustafsson from having consistent playing time in a consistent league. Like, he's been all over the place here. So I'm giving him a bit of slack, but Tyler Boucher is coming into his own. And now that he's playing in the OHL, which we all agree is a better spot for him to develop than the college league might be, just with his physicality, I'm okay with putting Boucher ahead of Gustafsson, but don't count Gus out just yet.
No, I mean, I have, but I understand where you're coming from, though. If this was just my list, I would have probably even flipped Gustafsson and Sogard, like just straight up flipped them. But I understand that Gus did have a great 9-game sample size at the NHL level when he played last season. So you know what? That's the give and take when you do a list as a team. So we've got Philip Gustafsson on the SensCentral list at number 6, and then beyond that, I think Jacob Bernard-Docker, just because he's such a safe projection, you know what you're going to get from him once he hits his maturity. So I think that there's definitely a spot for him in the top 10. And the 8, 9, 10 players on our list, they're all kind of boom or bust in a way, don't you think? With number 8 being Igor Sokolov, number 9, Roby Jarventi, and number 10, Tyler Cleven.
I feel like Cleven is a safer one, but he's a higher floor, lower ceiling type guy. Whereas the other guys, Sokolov and Jarventi, may be a lower floor, higher ceiling type guy. Yeah. So it's interesting there. And especially like Tyler Cleven, he's farther away from the NHL here. Igor, that's a guy that honestly, it wouldn't be that crazy to see him in Sens lineup next year. Roby Jarventi, I don't think is quite there, but he's making his mark in the AHL. But Sokolov, it's going to be interesting to see what next year holds for him.
And then talk about a little recency bias, potentially, but we also loved what we saw from Austinchuck in the NHL training camp.
It's a second-round pick. Like, good. There's good hope there.
All right, so we've got Austinchuck, Sogard, and Angus Crookshank, because we're not getting rid of Crooker after an injury-filled season. We still have faith in him. He looked fantastic when he came from college to the AHL last season. So that is our top 10 prospects for the Ottawa Senators. We're going to bring that list up tomorrow when Craig Button releases his, and we'll go from there. For today, though, we say goodbye. Enjoy the game tonight. We will have our postcast available right after the Ottawa Senators take on the Detroit Red Wings. But for now, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.